Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Make Sense America. Today, it seems that President Trump received some fantastic news, and we're going to get into that in just a second. Before we do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out while we're trying to grow. And if you have a second, add a comment. We'd really appreciate to hear from you. Now, let's get right into this. Today in New York City, it seems that the gag order was lifted from former President Trump and his attorneys. Now they can speak freely as they could before, but they also filed a lawsuit against the judge himself. Now, in a second, we're going to play a clip like we always do, and we're going to let MSNBC tell you themselves exactly what happened, except they add a little twist to it. We're going to talk about that as we go through this. So we're going to go ahead and roll the clip and let you hear what they have to say about what happened. So, see you in a minute.
Legal analyst Lisa Rubin, who has sprinted to the studio to help us understand what's going on. Why was the gag order lifted?
So Trump's lawyers today filed an emergency petition called an Article 78 proceeding. They have literally sued Judge Arthur Engoron, who's overseeing this case. In their new lawsuit, they are contesting a number of things, ranging from the bias that he has allegedly shown them to the contempt findings that he has made, where he has fined the lawyers, and including the two gag orders, one pertaining to former President Trump, the other pertaining to his lawyers. You'll also remember, Katie, that they have a pending mistrial motion about some of these same subjects, and Elise Stefanik has an ethics complaint about many of the same issues. This is a trifurcated strategy to get relief in any way they can, but now the former president is at least temporarily freed from the strictures of this gag order.
Why would that temporarily be lifted? I mean, the reason the gag order was put on was because he was worried that he was going to endanger his clerk. He was going after staffers.
Well, the allegation here is that Judge Engoron is beyond his authority and jurisdiction in issuing these two gag orders. And so, until a full appellate court can hear this petition, they have convinced a judge on the First Department, that's the appeals court that oversees Judge Engoron, to temporarily stay that gag order.
I'm confused by why would this judge not have the authority to put a gag order on a case that he's overseeing?
I'm not really sure. They say that at least the way in which the gag order has been issued and the fact that it is not subject matter specific, for example, but pertains to all things concerning their staff, that it has limited them from making motions and making a record, that because of that, it violates New York law and exceeds his jurisdiction.
All right, you saw the clip. What'd you think? Did you hear a little twist in there? Because we heard a little twist in there. That's why we're trying to make sense, America. Let's take a look at what's going on. We had a gag order that was issued. It goes to an appellate court, and it gets removed. But then we have the mainstream media again trying to make their own little sense of something. So let's pick it apart for a minute. Why would you put a gag order in place to begin with? The judge says it was because President Trump went online and said something about his clerk. Now, his clerk does sit next to him during all the hearings, and they pass notes back and forth, and I'm sure it's a little odd, especially for, professional attorneys watching this, that they've never seen this happen before. But let's get really deep into what's really going on. Is it the fact that maybe they're worried about the truth being told of what's happening during these hearings and how the judge cuts them off in the middle of their testimonies and things? Or the fact that they're not bringing any of the banks in to actually talk about the loans themselves and how happy they were to do business with Trump Industries? Let's take Donald Trump out of it for a second. Let's also look at the fact that you have an attorney general that's filed all of this, who has many videos online that's stating the fact that she's going to get Trump. How does this make sense, America? Now, the news is fantastic, and why it was lifted is even more fantastic, and we're going to get to that in just one more second. There's a couple more points that I want to make real fast before we get to the end of this. If you don't have any expert valuations, you're not bringing forward the banks that actually did the business, and there's no victims in the case. What is all this about? Why are we even doing this? Is it to stop him during an election year? What's the real reason behind all of this? Seems like there is a hidden agenda. Part of that hidden agenda is exactly why the gag order was issued and why it was pulled off during an appellate court. The reason it was pulled off was because it violated the freedom of speech. There's no way to spin that. That's the reason the court got rid of it. And now President Trump and his attorneys are free to say whatever they'd like about the case. And I'm sure they will, as they've been trying to this whole time. But of course, they're not allowed to. So, and if you noticed in the middle of that, when she said, why can't a judge issue a gag order in his own court? And the response was, I'm not sure. Then maybe you need to go back and read the First Amendment, because this isn't something that's going on in New York. This is a constitutional right that's going on in America. And it seems to be, here at Make Sense America, one of our biggest topics that's going to be coming up on a few more of our videos. Do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. Add some comments down at the bottom. Tell us what you think. And we'll be back to bring you some more news and some more things that keep going on and on. Just remember, we love you all. Have a great night.